Hello everyone, this is Rick, and today we are going to do a comparative analysis on the two famous religions of Jainism and Buddhism. Before going through this video, it will help you a lot if you see the other videos in this channel where I have discussed in detail regarding both the religion of Jainism and Buddhism. That will help you to understand it better and also do a comparative analysis of your own regarding these two religions. So without doing any delay, let's get into details. Dates of the two religions. So we will go through the time period in which these two religions were founded. Buddhism was founded in 6th to 5th century BC by Siddhartha Gautama, known as the Buddha. So in 5th and 6th century BC, the religion of Buddhism was founded by a person named Siddhartha Gautama, who later came to be known as the Buddha. Traces of its teachings in Jainism back more than 2500 years, but scholars typically date Mahavira, the last Tirthankar, to the 6th century BC. So Jainism traces back its history to more than 2500 years, but it is typically dated on the basis of birth of Mahavir, the last or the 24th Tirthankar in the religion, and that is during 6th century BC. Both the religions emerged during the same period in ancient India amidst similar socio-political conditions. So both were almost contemporary to each other and they emerged at the same time period. Also, there was similar socio-political condition at the time of their foundation. Now, what are the differences in dates between the two religions? Jainism's root may be older as it references earlier teachers than Mahavira, suggesting a long prehistoric tradition. So there were 24 Tirthankaras in the religion of Jainism, and Mahavir was the last among them. The first was Rishabhnath, who was a Kshatriya king. So the roots of Jainism started from the time of the first Tirthankar Rishabhnath. Hence, it is difficult to establish a date, but it can certainly be said that Jainism has its root in much older tradition of Indian history, suggesting a long prehistoric tradition. Now, both of this emerged during the period of second urbanization in India, when new philosophical ideas began challenging the established Vedic order. So, during the later Vedic period, when second urbanization, that is the age of Mahajanapadas, was happening in the North Indian and Central Indian subcontinent, that was the time when these two religions emerged. Both religions significantly shaped Indian civilization and spread beyond to different parts of Asia. So both the religion played a significant role in the formation and spread of Indian civilization across different parts of Asia. Now we will go through the background of the founders. Who were the founders and what was their socio-economic background? Siddhartha Gautama, a prince from the Shakya clan in Lumbini, who renounced the worldly life to seek enlightenment. So the founder of Buddha was a prince from Shakya clan in Lumbini, which is presently situated in the country of Nepal. And Siddhartha Gautama renounced his worldly, princely, luxurious life in order to seek enlightenment. Now, who was Mahabir? Mahabir was born into a noble family in the kingdom of Vaishali. Also, he renounced wealth and family to become an ascetic. So, Mahabir also left his noble family luxuries and renounced all materialistic attachments to become an ascetic. Both the founders were from noble families and chose ascetic lives to find solution to human suffering. So both belonged from from stable families with good economic background, and both of them renounced the luxuries of noble families in order to become an ascetic and find solutions to the human suffering. Now, what were the differences? Siddhartha is not considered the first to teach Buddhism, but reformed and popularized the path to enlightenment. So, Siddhartha, even though he is regarded as the founder, but still he is not considered to be the first to teach Buddhism, but he was the one who popularized the path to enlightenment. And Mahavir is considered to be the last Tirthankar reforming an existing Jain tradition. So Mahavir was the 24th Tirthankar from a long line of Jain tradition. Their noble backgrounds gave them education and societal status, which helped spread their teachings. So their noble luxurious background helped them to spread their teachings because they already had good education and a status in the society. Both taught the paths to spiritual liberation, but through very different doctrines and practices. So even though both had the ultimate goal to find solutions to human suffering, but their teaching process was very much different through doctrines and different kind of practices. Now, asceticism. What were the ways, what was the penance done by both these people in order to get enlightenment? In Buddhism, it is emphasized in the middle way as the chief ascetic practice, avoiding extreme asceticism and indulgence. So middle way is a philosophy in Buddhism where it is told to leave all your material attachments and seek the path of spirituality and enlightenment. But it also focuses that extreme asceticism and indulgence should not be practiced, and it actually means a simplistic style of living should be practiced. Now, in Jainism, there was practice of extreme asceticism, believing that it helps burn away accumulated karma. So, in Jainism, there is believed to be an effect of karma in one's life, and in order to burn or wither away that effect, you should practice extreme asceticism. Now, both see asceticism as a means to attain spiritual liberation. However, the degree of asceticism varies, with Jains practicing more severe forms than Buddhists. So, Buddhism focused on a simplistic way of life, but in Jainism, the practice of asceticism was very much extreme, with indulgence in extreme fasting and meditation. These practices influenced Indian aesthetics, rituals, and social values toward renunciation. So, all these practices of asceticism followed by the Jain monks and the Buddhist monks influenced Indian aesthetics, rituals, and gave a value towards renunciation. Over centuries, both religions have adapted their ascetic practices to broader societal changes and geographic expansion. So, over centuries, both the religion have adjusted themselves according to the societal changes and geographical expansion. Now, what were the main philosophies in both the religion? In Buddhism, four noble truths, the eightfold path and concept of anatta, which means no self, and annika, which means impermanence. These were the main philosophies. Four noble truths focuses on the ultimate truth in this human world. Eightfold path are the rules and regulations one can follow in order to get enlightened. The concept of anatta means we will not focus on our own self, we will focus for the greater cause of the society, and annika means we are not permanent in this world. In Jainism, the theory of karma Anubratas, which means small vows, and Mahabratas, which means great vows, and the concept of jiva or soul plays important part. So according to Jainism, this is very much interesting that the theory of karma is not a philosophy only, it is not a concept only. Jain monks believe karma to be a material which has its effect on one's life, and anubratas are the vows taken by the lay followers who are not in the monastic order, and these are the lesser vows which aims to reflect the monastic teachings in the society. And Mahavratas are the vows taken by monks where they practice extreme asceticism and fasting and meditation and all those things. And also there is the concept of soul in Jainism. Both the religion reject the caste system and the authority of the Vedas. They focus on ethical living and importance of individual action for liberation. So both of them rejected the socio-political condition from the Vedas at that point of time, and they focused on ethical living and importance of one's action to be the quality or capability behind attaining spiritual liberation. Jainism has more elaborate metaphysical theory of soul and karma compared to Buddhism, which focus on psychology and cognition. So the main focus of Buddhism is on psychology and cognition, but in Jainism the theory of soul and karma is very much metaphysical, where it is believed that karma is a materialistic substance which plays its role in one's life. Both contribute richly to Indian and global philosophical thought. So these are the philosophies which give direction to Indian philosophical thought and also to the global philosophies of the world. Each has developed extensive texts and sub-traditions that interpret these theories differently. So there are different sects within both the religion which has different interpretation for each of these philosophies and theories. Now monastic rules, both had monasteries, Buddhism and Jainism. Now what were the similarities and differences in the monastic rules? In Buddhism, Vinaya Pitaka, which outlines detailed monastic rules for daily conduct and disciplinary actions. So Vinaya Pitaka is a text where different kinds of rules regarding what kind of code of conduct should be followed in the monasteries are listed, and also there has been different codes which says that a particular penance should be done and punishment should be received by the monks or the lay followers if they break certain codes of conduct. In my video about Buddhism, I have explained these rules in detail. You can go through it. Now in Jainism, Akaranga Sutra is a text which prescribes rules for monastic life, emphasizing on non-violence and strict asceticism. So the rules in Jainism were very much strict and far more advanced in strictness than the Buddhism. So the text Akaranga Sutra emphasizes on non-violence as the prime code of conduct in Jainism, and that can be attained only by strict asceticism. Both have structured monastic communities governed by a set of rules that guide ethical and spiritual practices. So both have very organized monasteries where a set of rules are being followed which provides as a guide to ethical and spiritual practices. Jain monastic rules are stricter with greater emphasis on non-violence and minimalism. So as I have said, the monastic rules of Jainism are far more strict than that of Buddhism, and their prime focus is in non-violence and extreme asceticism. Monastic communities in both religions have been centers of education, culture and social service. So it is not only that monasteries are the place where one can get enlightenment. In both the religions, they serve as centers for education, they serve as the guidance of culture, and also they do a lot of social service even still now. Now, with time, both sets of monastic rules have adapted to changing times and cultures, influencing and being influenced by them. So, both have adjusted their rules according to contemporary world in any period of time. Now, laity. Laity means the normal followers, the lay people who were outside the monastic order. How was their interaction with both the religion? In Buddhism, lay followers support monastic communities through donations and receive teachings and blessings in return. So in Buddhism, the lay people who were followers of Buddhism, they supported the monastic communities through different kinds of donations, and they received teachings and blessings from the monks in return. In Jainism, lay Jains practice a less austere form of religion but are still expected to adhere to many rigorous ethical standards. So, in Jainism, the lay followers had to adhere to many rigorous ethical standards provided guided by the monks in the monasteries. In both the religion, lay followers play crucial roles in supporting the monastic community and spreading the religion's practices and values within society. So in both the religion, lay followers play a very vital role, and thus they support the monastic community and spread its teachings. Lay Jains often follow strict dietary and ethical rules that are more demanding compared to general Buddhist lay practices. So the followers of Buddhism were permitted to have a simplistic way of life, but the followers of Jainism were subject to strict dietary regulations and also very strict ethical rules, and thus from the Jains it was demanded to be a more ascetic society than that of the Buddhists. Lay members of both religions engage in various religious and social activities that strengthen communal bonds and ethical behavior. So both the lay communities had very good interactions with the monasteries, and through those interactions various religious and social activities were done that strengthen the communal bonds between the two religions. Over time, the role of laity has also evolved, adapting to local cultures and social changes, thereby keeping the religions irrelevant in modern times. So, over times, the duties and responsibilities of lay followers have also changed, and thus both the religions are relevant in modern times through the practice and dedication of the laity. Now, how was the position of women in both the religion? Initially, in Buddhism, women were admitted into monastic life by Buddha, though with stricter rules. Over time, several Buddhist traditions have seen prominent female religious figures. So, at first, women were admitted into the monastic life by Buddha, even though he was not willing to do so in the beginning. In my theory, in my video about position of women in Buddhism, I have explained this in detail. But over time, several Buddhist traditions have seen several important nuns in the philosophy of Buddhism. Now, Jainism also allows women into monastic orders. Historical texts suggest a significant number of women followers and leaders. Even though the Digambar sect of Jainism did not permit women into the monastic order, but the Svetambar sect always had equality in gender in respect of women in monastic order. Both the religion provided a spiritual avenue for women at times when societal roles were generally restrictive. So both provided spiritual roles to women and spiritual qualities to women when at a time that there were specific roles reserved to women only. In those times, these two religions evolved and made women equal in the case of spiritual enlightenment. The role and status of women have varied significantly across different sects and periods in both religions. So across different periods, the role of women have varied differently in both the religion. Both religious traditions have challenged and modified traditional roles of women in Indian society. So in the later Vedic time, women were submissive to men, and both the religion of Jainism and Buddhism challenged and tried to change this approach in Indian society. Modern movements within both religions have focused on enhancing the role of women through challenges, though challenges remain in terms of full equality. So there are many theories regarding the fact that women were given opportunities in both the religion, but it was not always practically true. So both the religion have evolved in modern times to give full equality to genders. Now, patronage. What was their source of funding and sponsorship? Buddhism received significant royal patronage, notably from Emperor Ashoka, which helped spread across Asia, and later on Kanishka and many other Indian rulers often patronage gave patrons were acted as patrons towards Buddhism and Buddhist philosophy, and thus Buddhism spread all over the world. Now, Jainism were also supported by merchants and royalty, including King of Kalinga Kharvela, enhancing its status and survival. So, like Buddhism, Jainism were also supported by great kings like King Kharvel from Orissa, who was also called the King of Kalinga. You can get details about Kharvel from the Hathi Gumpha inscription in Bhubaneswar. Also, different kind of merchant guilds or business societies supported Jainism, enhancing its status and survival. Both religions thrived under royal and merchant patronage, which was crucial for their initial establishment and growth. So both the religions thrived under royal and merchant patronage. The merchants or the business class supported both of this religion, and thus it was very much crucial for their establishment and survival. Buddhism perhaps saw a more extensive international spread due to more consistent royal patronage compared to more localized spread of Jainism. So the spread of Jainism was very much localized, but Buddhism spread internationally because of royal patronage from different parts of the world. Patronage led to the creation of significant religious art and architecture, influencing cultural landscape. So this led to the creation of religious art in the context of both Buddhism and Jainism, and thus it influenced cultural landscapes not only in the Indian subcontinent but the whole world. Over centuries, the label and nature of patronage have shifted, reflecting changes in political and economic centers of power. Now, how was the influence, or how much is the influence of both the religion in the contemporary world? Buddhism influenced a wide range of cultures across Asia, impacting philosophy, art, politics, particularly in places like Sri Lanka, Tibet, Thailand, and Japan. So these are the places where Buddhism spread a lot and influenced philosophy, art, politics, everything in those parts where Buddhism spread. And these places are normally in the southeastern part of Asia, but also across the world. Though more localized in influence, Jainism has had a significant impact on Indian culture and ethics, especially in business and legal practices. So in business and legal practices, Jainism has always been very much influential, and even though it has a localized influence in Indian context, but still the influence of Jainism cannot be ignored. Both have deeply influenced ethical and philosophical thought, promoting concepts of non-violence and personal responsibility. So both have promoted the concept of ahimsa, which was the basis of Indian culture, and also both promoted the philosophy of personal responsibility and spiritual enlightenment. Buddhism's influence is more global, while Jainism's influence remains predominantly within the Indian subcontinent. So Buddhism has spread all over the world, but Jainism was restricted mainly in the Indian subcontinent only. Both religions continue to influence modern ethical debates and practices such as vegetarianism and non-violence. So both the religion advocate the principle of not hurting any other religion or any other living things. Therefore they have influenced the ethical debates and practices such as vegetarianism. Both have adapted their teachings to appeal to contemporary audiences, emphasizing science, rationality, and universal ethics. Now, how is both the religion in present context? What are its influences now, and how people see Buddhism and Jainism to be a guiding factor in their present lives? Buddhism has a global following with significant population in East and Southeast Asia, whereas Jainism remains mostly concentrated in India with a small diaspora. So Buddhism has a more global reach, whereas Jainism has been restricted to Indian subcontinent only. Modern Buddhists and Jains have adapted their practices to suit urban and globalized environment. So they did not stay primitive, and they have improved their theories and philosophies basing on the urban and globalized environments. Both maintain strong lay communities that support monastic orders and engage in religious and social activities. So both have a strong following from the normal people, that is the lay communities, and they engage and influence religious and social activities. The scale of global spread and influence differs, with Buddhism having a much broader international presence. So the international presence of Buddhism is much stronger than that of Jainism. Both face challenges in maintaining relevance to younger generations amidst rapid social changes. So they always have a challenge to stay relevant among the younger generations, given that there is rapid societal changes. Both religions are engaging with modern issues such as environmentalism, social justice, and interfaith dialogue, showing dynamic adaptability. So they have tried to adapt themselves to the modern world. So that was all about the comparative analysis between Buddhism and Jainism. If you have not gone through all the videos of Buddhism and Jainism, then please go through it, because it will help you to have a better understanding of these two religions. And as usual, support me so that I can bring brighter contents in future. Thank you so much for your love and support.